Stop right now and consider the last few moments of your life. What thoughts just flitted through your mind? What concerns or worries weighed on you over the last few minutes? Now, if you're like most people, you might have found this little exercise hard to do, to think about what you're thinking about. Many people find this difficult as they aren't used to paying attention to their inner world, to their thoughts or their emotions. But you know what? If you're not taking the time to reflect or to think about thinking, you may find yourself experiencing life as if you have no control over things. Did you know that there's a growing body of research demonstrating that the thoughts we hold in our mind have huge power to impact our overall health and well-being? They impact our mood, our health, our relationships, our immune system, our ability to cope with stress. Now, if our thoughts are negative, our brain will release these stress neurochemicals that have an adverse impact on our brains and our bodies and our emotions. Now, conversely, positive thoughts improve our happiness and well-being, and they lower our physical and emotional stress. But because negative thoughts appear to carry greater weight in our brains, we need a minimum of 5 positive thoughts to outweigh each negative thought. So how does all this work? Well, on an emotional level, we may feel joy in a variety of ways. We may feel excited or content, euphoric, or even tearful. But on a scientific level, we feel joy in our neurotransmitters, which are these tiny chemical messenger cells that transmit signals between the nerves and our other bodily cells. These neurotransmitters are responsible for processes and feelings in almost every aspect of our body. So where does joy show up in our body? Well, almost everywhere. We feel joy in our bodies because of the release of dopamine and serotonin, 2 types of neurotransmitters in the brain. Both of these chemicals are heavily associated with happiness. In fact, people with clinical depression often have lower levels of serotonin. So when something you perceive as joy happens, your brain receives a signal to release these chemicals into your nervous system. This then causes reactions in other bodily systems, including your circulatory system and your autonomic nervous system. That means that joy affects almost every part of our bodies, from our heart health to our circulation, our breathing, our digestion, even our metabolism. There's so much more I could tell you about the science of joy, but one thing I really want you to hear. Joy literally is one of our most important immune strategies. We're learning more and more about how our emotions are so closely tied into everything about our bodies. Emotions at their most basic level involve the release of neurochemicals in the brain in response to some stimulus. So a situation happens to you and it releases a whole bunch of chemicals, and that triggers a cascade of physiological changes. Just about every system in your body responds to these chemical and electrical cascade, which is activated by that situation that you just went through. That's emotion. It's automatic, it's instantaneous, it happens everywhere to everyone, and it affects everything. And it's happening all the time. In fact, 100%, that's right, 100% of all of our human experiences go through the emotional center of our brain. That means all of our decisions go through the emotional center of our brain, no matter how rational we think we're being. So how we respond to stress, how we experience pain, all of our human struggles, it goes through the emotional part of our brain. We're emotional beings. That's why joy is so critical to our well-being, and it's such a key part to our physical, emotional, and relational health. Multiple studies have found that joyful, optimistic people have far more positive outcomes in their experiences. They have better health, they live longer, they have greater resilience, they have healthier relationships, and they even have more success in their careers. I just love how science is biblical because it's rooted in how God has wired us. God knew what he was doing when he commanded us to be joyful in Philippians 4, verse 4 in the Bible, where it says, "Always be full of joy in the Lord." I say it again, rejoice. And God knows that being joyful is good for us, for our mental, emotional, relational, and physical health. And he wants us to live a full life, as fully alive and thriving as much as possible. But God doesn't just leave us with that command as if we can just somehow will ourselves to be more joyful. He gives us a strategy if you read further ahead in verses 6 and 8, where it says, "Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He's done." And one final thing, fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. So right there's your answer. Think positive, hopeful thoughts, cultivate an attitude of gratitude, and let go and give to God all the things over which we have no control. Science has proven time and time again how these strategies increase our well-being and resiliency. So if joy is so good for us, why don't we just automatically pursue opportunities to experience joy? Well, positive experiences happen to us every day. In fact, 3 times more often than negative experiences, yet we don't always take full advantage of them. So what keeps us from fully capitalizing on all the good in our lives? What keeps us stuck in the rut of the bad? Well, researchers have identified 2 main tendencies that keep us from experiencing and expanding our joy. They call it the negativity bias and habituation. So the negativity bias refers to our mind's innate tendency to give more weight to the negative. It's part of our survival mechanism. We tend to remember and focus more on negative experiences. It's kind of how our body gears itself up to defend against possible threats. Habituation refers to the fact that while we receive boosts of happiness from new positive experiences, over time we kind of get used to these experiences and they no longer have the same effect. So, how can we counter this tendency to assign greater weight to the negative experiences in our life? Well, science has an answer. A recent study by Lambert and colleagues at Brigham Young University gives us a clue. Their research shows that talking about positive experiences leads to heightened well-being, increased overall life satisfaction, and even more energy. Like, hello, we get to talk about happy stuff, and that makes us happier. Isn't that amazing? So this research may seem surprising because we're often reluctant to talk about our good fortune. We don't want to show off, or we may feel guilty because of the good things that's happening to us in the face of the suffering that exists in other people's lives. Bonding over complaints and commiserating just seems more proper and realistic. However, research suggests that describing our joyful experiences to close friends and romantic partners is a better idea. Now, a number of studies have already shown the power of gratitude. Making daily lists of the things that you feel grateful for improves our psychological and physical well-being. Studies have shown that gratitude improves our ability to connect with others. It boosts our altruistic tendencies. It makes us more optimistic and happier, decreases envy and materialism, and it even improves health for people with physical ailments. However, research on gratitude shows that verbally expressing the gratitude we feel to people close to us goes above and beyond and increases our well-being beyond just simply writing or feeling the gratitude. Researchers have found that people who habitually talk to people they're close with about the good things that are happening to them also tend to feel more joyful and more satisfied with life. And they also found that the more these people shared their joy with someone on a given day, the happier and more satisfied they were on that particular day. So the bottom line is, sharing our joy increases our joy. Telling people about our joy has far greater benefits than just remembering it or writing it down for ourselves. This research may also help partially explain studies that have shown that our well-being influences those around us up to 3 levels of separation. Isn't that amazing? So to try and be happy may seem like a selfish endeavor, but it's actually a worthwhile goal to pursue, not just for ourselves, but for our community. In turn, we can help support others' joy by encouraging them to share their most positive experiences and the things they feel grateful for. And here again is the beauty of how God has wired us and the true secret of joy. It's all about our relationships and our connections. It's rooted in love. Jesus tells us in John 15, verses 9 and 11, that I have loved you, even as the Father has loved me. Remain in my love. I have told you these things so that you will be filled with my joy. Yes, your joy will overflow. We were created for joy. It's the fruit of deeply connected relationships in which each person is known. Joy is the signature anthem of deep connection. It's upon that foundation that we develop our sense of self, our self-efficacy, our creativity, our resilience. From deeply connected relationships comes joy. And from joy comes human flourishing. And the good news is that you can learn to manage your thought life, which can give you control over your overall well-being and experience of life. Pursuing joy through optimism and gratitude is a learned skill, and like everything else, takes practice and repetition before we master it. All of us can learn to do this. God has wired all of us to be able to overcome difficulties in our lives with His help, to experience great joy and peace and freedom, regardless of our circumstances. So if you'd like to learn how to be more joyful and positive in your thought life, try the following 4 strategies. So first of all, pay attention to your thought life. And as you pay attention to your thought life on a regular basis, you're going to get better at this skill. You're going to be able to notice these positive and negative patterns of thinking sooner. And keep at it, because it's going to make a difference in your ability to experience joy. In fact, neuroscience has shown that we can literally rewire our brain patterns so that even long entrenched negative thinking patterns can be changed to positive ones. So here's a technique to try. Use the think technique to help you track your thoughts, or THINK. So is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? And is it kind? And writing and journaling your thoughts is more powerful than just trying to do it in your head. There are free CBT thought diary apps that you can download onto your devices to help you track your thoughts. And remember to give yourself grace as you learn this skill. If this isn't something you're used to doing, like any new habit, consistent practice over time will help you get better at this. And as you're starting to track your thoughts, make sure you're also choosing to focus your thoughts on the positive. On a daily basis, just flood your mind with uplifting thoughts and words. Recount joyful experiences over and over in your mind and to your loved ones. List things you're grateful for on a daily basis. Recall scripture verses that bring you a sense of hope and peace. It may feel awkward and unnatural at first, but keep it up, because you're releasing happy hormones in your brain. Now, the second strategy to incorporate into your life are healthy self-care habits, like physical activity, distraction, hobbies, and just good old plain fun. This is especially helpful in interrupting your negative and anxious thought patterns. Many times you can actually complete the stress cycle by doing physical activities that allows you to blow off steam. Even just deep breathing can move your body towards relaxing and letting go of negative thoughts or tension. And if you're feeling down, simple physical activities like going for a walk in nature, or petting your dog or cat, or hugging a loved one, and even forcing yourself to smile, they can help your neurotransmitters do their job and raise your mood. Fun and laughter has also proven to help us feel better. It's been shown to increase our resilience and stress tolerance. As well, just doing hobbies and activities that are distracting can help our minds rest while we focus on doing something enjoyable. In fact, low activity and social disconnection are 2 of the most fundamental maintaining factors of low mood, motivation, and energy. So beyond the self-care habits I just mentioned, the third incredibly important and vital strategy to incorporate into your joy-building activities is to connect with your friends and family on a regular basis and share joyful experiences and memories. Remember what I said earlier, joy is the fruit of connected relationships. The act of being with someone you love can calm your brain and your body, and by sharing joyful experiences and memories, you'll begin to experience joy on a more ongoing basis. Do this on a daily basis as an immune boost, just kind of like taking your daily vitamins. And it doesn't have to be big social events, especially if you're an introvert or you're new to a community. You just need that one person you can talk with and share. And most of us do it pretty easily when we want to vent with our friends or share our prayer requests, but instead choose to share what you're grateful for and what brings you joy. And finally, don't do this alone. In fact, maybe create a joy accountability group where you'll challenge and support each other on building joy in your lives. If you're really serious about turning things around in your life, here's a challenge for you. Give permission to a few trusted friends and family to challenge you every time they sense some negative thinking happening with you. Serious ouchie, but so good for your growth. And also look for opportunities to celebrate each time you're able to extend your experiences of joy. Now, if necessary, consider getting help from a professional if you'd like to get a good handle on your mental and emotional well-being, especially if there are some unresolved hurts or traumas or painful experiences that are holding you back. Please, if this is you, honor your story, honor your pain, and choose to share it with a trusted other. Pursuing joy doesn't mean we ignore our pain when we're hurting. But let me tell you this, when we invite someone else into our story and our struggles, the shared connection will result in the fruit of joy. Remember, joy is one of our most effective strategies to strengthen our well-being and resiliency, as well as our connection to God and others. God has wired us for joy, and science has proven it.